Okay.
Got it. Perfect.
And then we got 3, 4, and
Coming to you live from the JRE Tobacco Aladino Mobile Studios, it's the Cigar Pulpit.
everybody, and welcome to another sermon from the Cigar Pulpit. I'm the Bishop of the Burn, Nick, and with me today we have the president of Villiger Cigars North America. We have Rene Castaneda. How are you, Rene?
Very good, my friend. Listen, it's an honor, it's a pleasure. Maybe what, a couple of months, 3 months last time that we spoke?
You know, I hate to admit it. It may very well have been February or March.
No, yeah, more. I remember because
when you came on as a sponsor at that, or a partner of ours. Yeah, it's been a little bit.
No, actually more, you're right, because I remember that we postponed it for a week because it was the first time that I got COVID.
You got COVID.
January. That was January, yes.
So yeah, it's been a minute, and
it's been a minute.
It's been too long, but there's been a lot that's happened in that meantime. And we're prepping to get ready for the PCA and everything here. We're recording this on, Monday, July 3rd. You're 4 days out from the start of the show, correct?
Pretty much, yes. I think the team is flying on Thursday to Las Vegas. I'll be flying out to Las Vegas on Friday because it's this weekend, July, it's the 8th, the 9th, the 10th. And half day of the 11th. So we're there. We're just now waiting to get on the plane, get there, and have some fun.
There you go. Well, let's have some fun today. And you have sent me a special treat here, and I want you to talk about this. You sent the Villiger 1888. This is the Nicaragua, correct?
Yes, sir. This is one of the releases that we have for the PCA. The Villiger 1888 Nicaragua. The reason for the name first, our company was established in 1888. So that's the reason that we have now this second version. The first is the Villiger 1888 Dominican, which is a mild cigar. This one, I would say mild plus mild to medium. And this one that has the newest one, the latest one, the blue band, the Villiger de Nicaragua, it's made at our new factory in Estelí, Nicaragua, Villiger de Nicaragua. And this is a medium to full body cigar. It has personality, let me put it this way. The filler and the filler is Nicaraguan with Pennsylvania broadleaf.
Okay.
The binder is Nicaraguan, and the wrapper is an Ecuador Sumatra. So this is, I would say, a cigar with personality, with character. It's unless you're into just full body cigars, it shouldn't be your first cigar of the day. It should be more like an after lunch.
Well, it is going to be my first cigar of the day, so we'll see how this goes.
No, it's a medium to full. I mean, again, it's not, overpowered with nicotine. It's just, it has a lot of flavors and it has a lot of personality, and you're going to feel it in your senses. Let me put it in a nice, politically correct way.
Well, I had breakfast, so I figure that's a plus just in and of itself. Right?
That is a plus. It's a pleasant cigar. Listen, it has, I'm not an expert on describing cigars in any fancy way, but I will say, especially it has this sweetness, the regular, nuts, regular little bit of cedar. I would say chocolate mocha type of impressions that I get out of the cigar. But the most important is like this sweetness, caramelish type of finish. So you will see it's a very pleasant cigar, again, with personality.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. Let's go ahead and get it prepped and ready here. And the official cutting is brought to you by Dan the Man Ponder over there at Riverman Cigar Company of Crestwood, Missouri. And guys, Dan the Man Ponder, he's always got stuff going on. He had a nice event the other night for one of his customers. It was a birthday party, I believe. And, he had maybe 50 guys sitting out front, just hanging out. just having a nice time. And that's the thing about the community cigar shop like that is there's always something going on, whether it's a actual formal event with a company or if it's something with the customers. But he's got all kinds of great cigars over there. He's got the lounge, he's got the nice area out front, under the patio to sit and relax. And so if you're in the St. Louis area, swing on by and check it out. And if you're not in the St. Louis area, he does mail order. So you can give him a call. You can get some great cigars shipped to you, and you can still support a brick and mortar shop. So that's Riverman Cigar Company of Crestwood, Missouri. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and cut my cigar. There you go. Got to get that cut noise in there. So
No,
all right.
we're getting ready with this trade shows. It's I've seen a lot of announcements, a lot of new things coming from all over the place. We have these two. We can talk about the second one in a bit, but it's mainly the Villiger 1888 Nicaragua, and the second one is the new edition of the Villiger Miami 2023.
Oh,
I'm not sure if you received the samples of it.
I did, of the Toro, right?
Yes.
Because last year it was Lancero.
Actually, last year we put the total production was 10,000 cigars, but we made 5,000 on the Robusto, 5 by 50, and then we put 5,000 cigars on the Lancero, which is the classic Laguito numero uno, number one. There's 7.5 by 38.
Okay.
And in these Miami 2023, we use a traditional, I would say, Cuban size. Cubans call it cañonazo, and it's a 5 7/8 by 53. So it's almost like a 6 by 53, sort of like a Toro Gordo type of sizes. We use our own names for the sizes. So it's a similar blend, and I say similar because we added one leaf of Peruvian tobacco to the original blend of the Villiger Miami, just to make it more aromatic. The Peruvian tobacco has this quality of enhancing the flavors and make it the tobacco more aromatic without changing too much the strength and the general character of the cigar.
Okay. Well, no, you did send me one of those along with this 1888, and I'm looking forward to giving that a shot as well. Because I'll say that Villiger Miami, in the Lancero size, for lack of a better description, I know you said you have your own size names and everything, but I can't remember off the top of my head what you said that one was. But that way in the Lancero size was a fantastic smoke, and I'm really looking forward to trying it more in this Vitola, just to see kind of the difference.
I think that we spoke, for me, my favorite size of that Miami was the Lancero. And I told you the story. The original, when we started that project, we started with the Lancero size. And by the way, I didn't invent the other name. The other name was invented by the Cubans. That is called Laguito number one.
Laguito number one.
Number one.
Okay.
Exactly. Okay. It's a classic Lancero for the Cubans is Laguito number one.
Okay.
That was the original size because when we put this cigar, when we developed the cigar, the intention was not to put the cigar in the market. It was for me to have a special cigar in the office when friends, colleagues, customers come to visit us, to have something unique to give them. So
for sure,
for the last 2 years, that was a cigar that I had in my office. But how did they say? Like by popular demand, we had to put some boxes, and it was the reason that the main reason that it was a limited edition. First, it's a difficult size to roll. One of the most difficult because of the ring gauge, and second, it's all the tobacco that we were using was from 2015, 2016. So it was a challenge to replicate that, and we made it, as many cigars that we could make. That was the reason for it.
I mean, you had a finite amount of tobacco from that time, and you could only do what you could do, basically. So yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Absolutely. So now this year we're going with the two. Once the 1888 Nicaragua, which I'm gonna wait a little bit. You're
I'm doing a cold draw right now, and I'm getting kind of a mix of like a nut, kind of a roasted nuttiness with some earthiness, just slight earthiness to it on the cold draw. But I'm looking forward to lighting this thing up and seeing what I get on that. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that.
Go for it, baby.
I'm going for it. I'm going for it. I don't know why I've been waiting. I just, it's like,
no, it's a crazy times for all of us in the cigar industry, because the PCA is like what, like the equivalent to the Super Bowl, for us. And
it's a big deal.
We usually present our new products for the year at the PCA. So it's always a challenge. It's always fun. It's a lot of competition. And listen, we need to showcase the best of the best, because there are excellent cigars out there, so you really need you really have to, get your game in place to make sure that you put the best of the best to compete in the major leagues. Let me put it that way.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, it's one of those things where we're in a time where it seems like there's a lot of really good cigar options out there, and for the consumer walking in the humidor, they can go wrong, but generally it's very hard for them to go wrong. And so, like you're pointing out, you got to come out with something that really stands above and is superior and really catches the eye and catches the smoker and everything else. And so, I mean, I have been a fan of your line and your products for a while. We've been promoting them on the show. I know that we've had a number of listeners that have, found out about your cigars and have posted in, our social media channels and whatnot that they've been trying and smoking the Villiger cigars. And so, hopefully they have gone out and found them and enjoyed them. They seem to have. But how has that been? I mean, that was kind of the part of the deal with you and I kind of partnering up here and everything. Is
listen,
that you're coming into North America like this, and
yes,
I want to know how it's going.
I have to give it to your audience, first to talk about that, because whenever some of your listeners are buying our cigars, listen, I get what is it called? Tagged in the post in social media.
Yeah.
To let me know that they heard about us through you. So that's the reason that they're mainly connected to our cigars. Listen, we're growing. It's a very good exercise. It's a very good year. I think at this point we are almost 580 some last time checked stores in the US. We keep growing and adding more retailers. We also want to make sure that we focus in the areas where we have sales representatives on the field to make sure that we're giving the right customer service to the to the retailers, to the customers, to do the events, to do the promotions. So it's we're here for the long term. We were not expecting to be the next flavor of the month. We're here committed to stay, to come, and to be part of the regular rotations of the cigars that you and our friends and the main of the consumers, most of the consumers will have in the humidor. That will always part of the rotation, and that doesn't happen overnight. That you have to be committed for the long term, because not all the blends and the cigars that you put out in the market are going to be successful. So this is a step-by-step thing, because you might enjoy this, but maybe I'm going to enjoy more the Villiger Miami. So it is for the people to discover our cigars and do this. And by the way, that takes me to, did I send you samples of the new Villiger TAA 2023 or not yet?
Not yet.
Because
but I always look forward. I assumed that it was going to be later, since I believe, didn't they push that back in the year?
No, actually, we are delayed.
Or is that next year?
It's next year, because they put it for later. But the reason that I bring up the TAA, because this is the only brand that we go and work with different manufacturers in order to get another set of exposure to another audience to our cigars. So like in 2020, we did with Ernesto Perez Carrillo. Then in 21, we did with Hochi Blanco, Tabacalera Palma. 22, we did Eric Espinosa, La Zona. This year, we did Aganorsa. So I need to make sure that we get that one. I think it's a fantastic stick. And we started shipping them last week. We were
Okay.
supposed to put them out on April. It's just that we were delayed on the exercise of the packaging. The problem was the packaging. The cigars were made by Arganosa since December last year. So, I mean, the good thing is the cigars were resting for another 5-6 months. So that's a beautiful thing for the cigars. But yes, we started shipping. So if any of your listeners see that one, it's the one with the green band. The TAA 2023 was made by Arganosa, but you know that they have great tobaccos and they are amazing, the blends that they're putting out in the market. So that's one of the venues that we also, or the channels that we use to get more exposure to our cigars, is that we use the TAA to make that bridge to new audiences, new consumers, people that might not be familiar with, let's say, Villiger, but they're more familiar with Arganosa, to give us a try. Once again, I go back. It's a long-term process. It's a step-by-step, adding, customers here, customers there, people to get to become fans of our cigars.
For sure. And that makes perfect sense that you would partner with, on that cigar. Because like you said, in 2020, you're bringing in the EPC fans to try one of your cigars, and 21, you're bringing in Hochi Blanco, correct?
Yes, Hochi Blanco, yes.
And then last year with Eric Espinoza. I mean, it makes perfect sense to do that. And I mean, I'm a huge Aganorsa Leaf fan. I mean, I smoke a lot of their cigars. I really enjoy them a lot. And so I'm looking forward now to trying not that I wasn't before, but now I'm really looking forward to trying the TAA 2023. I'll still say of the three that I have tried, the 20, 21, and 22, that 2020 from EPC is just lights out. It is just and I have one left in my humidor inside that every time I look at it, I'm like, oh, I want to smoke you, but I don't want to smoke you, because it's like, I just don't want it to go. But yeah, it's just such a great cigar.
No, but we really go to these manufacturers are pretty much our close friends, and they know that we're reaching out to them to support what we're trying to do in the US. And by doing that, we want to make sure that we work on a cigar that they are very proud of. And it's not just another cigar. Like, listen, make sure that you're shining as much as possible, because we're going to give you the spotlight to shine. And that's the way that we work with all of them. And all of them has been very, very supportive, and is, by the way, becoming a bit easier now, because the people believe in that project that we have, and the manufacturers are more open-minded to work with us on these special exercise for us.
Yeah, for sure. So real quick, before we get into, kind of, sorry, I've got bugs flying around, kind of PCA and some of the things, I have some questions regarding that for this year and next year. But one of the things that I think it would be important to do is maybe just real quick give the little background on Villiger. So we've pointed out that you guys are big overseas, and you're kind of you've been for the last number of years breaking into the United States, and like as you've put it, it's slow. It's not a sprint. It's a long run, and everything like that. But just kind of talk about the company as a whole and kind of what you've been doing here in the United States.
Oh, for sure. As I told you from at the beginning, the company was established in Switzerland in 1888. So we have been a long time, especially in the tobacco business, especially on the machine-made cigar business. People have seen some of our brands like the Villiger Export or the Braniff, or many others that we have put in the market. And about, I would say 25 years ago, 20 to 25 years ago, the company decided to get into the handmade business, mainly because Mr. Heinrich Villiger, still the owner of the company. This is a family company. Even though that we are a massive operation, it's still a family owned by the Villiger family. He saw that the future of this business was going to be the handmade cigars. So it was the time that we needed to switch as a company to the handmade, to the premium side of the business, because as much as the cigarettes were regulated, the next step was to regulate all the machine-made, the cigarillos. So it was important for the company to secure a long-term future to move into the premium side. So that was a decision made 25 years ago. And maybe about 10 years ago is when the company, remember, headquarters, the company is based out of Switzerland, and the main operations for the machine made is one factory in Switzerland, 2 factories in Germany, and 1 factory in Indonesia. So those massive operations for the machine made. Then we decided to move into the handmade, and about 10 years ago, the company decided to move into the US, because we always had just a little presence in the US. And 8 years ago, I came on board to try to give direction, especially if having the goal of making a name or open the way for the handmade cigars, because that was sort of like my expertise, and it was my 27 years in the cigar business has been in the handmade cigar business. So that was the reason that the company gave me the opportunity to run the show, to try to put the brands out there. And I, again, like we were talking, I explained the company that it was going to be a slow process, but step, solid, good foundation to make a real brand, not to create the flavor of the month. That's what I was trying to tell them. I can make the magic to make and sell a lot of cigars, and then in a year will disappear. But the strategy is different when you are trying to build up a brand with a company that has a lot of background, for good or for bad. We were known for machine-made cigars. So it was also a process to transition, to show the people that were familiar with the Villiger name that we knew and we had the expertise, to make handmade cigars. And even to show that commitment, so we opened the first handmade factory in Brazil. Maybe that's about 7 years ago. And at the end of 2001, we opened the factory in Nicaragua, Villiger de Nicaragua. And we did the grand opening now at the beginning of the year. And the reason for that, it was COVID was there, so we couldn't do any grand opening until finally at the beginning of this year. So that factory has been operating since October 2021. Yes, and we have a great partner by Avant Cigars, that they exclusive make our cigars in the Dominican Republic. And this is a large factory that we have as a partner in Santo Domingo, actually not in Santiago, but in Santo Domingo. So that's part of our commitment. We keep moving in, putting more foundation to the handmade cigars, on one side, to make sure that the brand as handmade company keeps growing in Europe, and Switzerland, Germany, France. So we have Villiger operations like commercial entities. There is Villiger Switzerland, there is Villiger Germany, there is Villiger France. We have a massive export international department, and we have the Villiger, North America, which we handle the business on this side of the pond. So it's that we keep moving, we keep taking steps and making brands that we are, blends that we're proud of, that we can build legacy for the brand, that we can leave a future for the brand. And it's tricky, but it's a little bit different, is that we are not building the brand based on the personality of anybody. It's not like I'm going to the stores, I'm doing all the events, or you see me like everywhere, because I'm more the business guy behind the scenes, putting the puzzle together for the things to move around. We're trying to build the Villiger brand as a brand, and not as a cult of a personality, and there is nothing wrong with the other ones, because I think that is a great tool that facilitate a lot of things when the people can connect with one person and the brand, especially when you're talking about cigars and these nice products that need that personal connection. So it's a little bit more challenging when you're doing it without, let's say, a face of the brand.
Yeah, I can think of a couple brands that, if maybe the face were to go away, you kind of sit there and you wonder, like, okay, where would that brand be without that person?
Yes. Yes.
And it does lead to a question of what is the history of that brand without that person? Because let's be real, our time is all fleeting, I mean,
oh, yes.
It's one of those things, so no,
for
that's
a company,
that's an interesting thing that you're thinking, down the road for that purpose.
We're building a legacy brand, and we need to do it without the cult of a personality. So that's part of the exercise, and that's the reason that could be a little bit more challenging, because most of the brands in the US has been built up out of the owner, the person, the brand ambassador, whoever that person might be, and makes the connection easier, because at the end of the day, you want to give a little bit of personality to this, because if not, at the end, this is just a bunch of dry leaves rolled together. So you want to
No, that's true. And see, and talking with retailers, and doing a little bit of sales myself, when I was helping out with Dan at Riverman, what I have found is that cigars that have a story behind them, and a story that is not overly complicated, something that's like kind of easily packaged to where you can tell that retailer, hey, this is the story behind this cigar. The story gets them engaged with that cigar, and then in turn they get engaged with that story, and they get their customers engaged with that story, and then at that point that story is kind of what's helping sell the cigar, above and beyond brand recognition and everything else. It's like people like a story.
Listen, I agree. I think of any cigar of any brand, 50% is to have a great cigar. The other 50% is to have a very good story to tell about that cigar. That's something that connects with you, something that relates to you, something that you can feel identified with. And
for example, the Miami, that was your story with that is that was the exclusive cigar for visitors to your Miami office and everything else. And then, the demand was high, so you released it for people to try elsewhere and everything else. I mean, it's a simple story.
Yes.
It's totally true. Simple
totally
story.
True. And not only that, it was the customers that started calling the cigar the Villiger, the Miami cigar. Rene, I was at your office. The cigar that you gave us in Miami, that Villiger in Miami. So we didn't even have to go to the marketing gurus to get the name of the cigar, because the customers were actually even calling the cigar, because I was giving the cigar without a band. It was a naked lancero that I was giving out to the people. And they were the ones that gave me the name. Like, you see, that's the reason that even today I have it in the background.
That's perfect, though. That's perfect. So
it is important. I think, I don't think that I'm being putting too much emphasis on that one, but I think the story is as important as the blend. You really need a good cigar, because at the end of the day, this starts and ends with a very good blend. Let's not forget that. But you need to give the consumer a way to connect to that blend. Giving them that story, the people can relate to it. So that's part of it. As I told you, it's a little bit challenging, but it's fun too. It's a different exercise. You need to find your ways to do it. That's mainly the reason that maybe you see in our social media, mainly pictures of the cigars. We're always featuring the cigars in different ways, but it's all about the cigar. So, we're working. Fortunately, the Mr. Heinrich Villiger understands that this is a process, and we take steps that we measure pretty much every quarter, every year, to see the evolution of the brand, the respect that we're gaining for the brand in the market, and the fact that we're connecting with the consumers in the US in a solid, a mature way. So that's we're proud of what we have done. There is a long way to go, for sure. And we need your support and your friends' supports to make it happen, because if not, we're just talking crap over here.
There you go. There you go. Well, thankfully, the cigars are fantastic. So that makes half your job that much easier right there. So
I agree. I agree on that one. I was talking to a friend of mine, like, listen, you give me a great cigar, I can do magic with that, but it has to be a great cigar.
And speaking of which, I'm really enjoying this Villiger 1888, the Nicaragua here. So the like you said, it's kind of it's not overly strong. I mean, I would say, like you said, kind of a medium, but it is very flavorful. Now, granted, I'm only maybe just starting to finish the first third of it, so I'm kind of still getting into the cigar.
No, and I told you, but you're right. It's a medium. Solid medium body, maybe medium plus the strength.
And that's maybe as I get into it later, maybe it's going to get a little bit stronger, but for flavor.
it's a lot of flavor. It's like
Lot of-
you have a lot of things going on over there, which I think the fact that we're using that Pennsylvania broadleaf in the filler gives that extra twist to the blend.
For sure. It's very good. And I got a little tickle in my throat there. Like, don't want people thinking I'm coughing because of cigars. Like, no, and a little tickle in my throat, but no, it's been really good. And I've done I mean, super smooth retrohale, and doesn't, I mean, normally I'm very bad about that. Normally I hack up a lung when I do a retrohale here and everything, but it's really smooth. And that's where I have noticed that kind of, like you said there was like a mocha, you know, kind of flavor to the
Yes.
cigar. I kind of get that on the smoking experience, but the nuttiness comes through on the retrohale there. It's really, really good. I'm really enjoying it. It's not what I expected. Typically when I see Nicaragua on a cigar, I think, okay, this is going to be a spice bomb. It's going to slit my throat, you
No.
know, that kind of thing. This is a good example of a Nicaragua cigar that's not spice forward. You know, most cigars from Nicaragua just tend to be that way.
Listen, I will say this, you know, in this one, complexity, a lot of flavors. If there is any spicy, I can relate that spiciness to the cinnamon spice, not to the peppery thing.
Yeah.
So it's a complete different exercise when it comes to, yes, there is a tingling in your tongue, but it's not pepper, you know, it's something else. I mean, the closest thing that comes to my mind is cinnamon by itself. When you try it, that you can have the same sort of impression in your mouth. You know, maybe I'm sounding too technical today. I don't know why.
I don't know, but yeah, no, it's great. So let's I before we get into, I keep backing up on stuff here, but you said something during the discussion about the company that I wanted to touch on, and it's more specific to you. So you've been in the premium cigar industry for, what'd you say, 27 years?
27 years. Yes, sir.
So let's talk about your background a little bit then. So you've been with Villiger for 8 years, correct? That's what you
Yes.
said. So by my count, that leaves you with 19 years in the cigar industry. Kind of what did you
Yes.
do during that?
15 years I was working with La Aurora Cigars.
Okay.
And I was running pretty much the distribution in the US for the last 7-8 years. Listen, I started in the cigar business by pure accident.
Okay.
I'm an industrial engineer by trade. And I came in, 97 to the business. And it was the middle of the cigar boom, the first cigar boom, you know, 97. And all the companies were looking for a guy that knew about logistics, inventories, and speak English and Spanish. So pretty much that was me. So I started in that one. I got never smoked, not even cigarettes in my life when I started in the business. I mean, at that time was what, like maybe 25? Yeah, 25, 27, no, 27. I'm 54 now. So pretty much half of my life has been in the cigar business. So when I started, I was more in the administration, the inventory, the logistics of all that. Then I went and ventured into sales in Florida. After that, when I ventured into sales in the Northeast. So I was living for 10 years in the New York area. Then after that one, I came back to Miami to start running the operations in Miami. Then I decided that it was time to fly solo, and I started several projects until I was in France, in Cannes. For whatever reason, I'm working on one of these projects. And this one, I think always the language part takes me different places. In this case was they needed somebody in the cigar business that speak French. So like, okay, I'm that guy too. So let me go to that project. So I went to France to take care of this international duty-free trade show. And at that time was when the guys from Habanos, you know, that I know them for many, many, many years, told me like, listen, after the show, let's have a conversation and we'll talk a little bit because I think that we have a project for you. I didn't have any clue about what was going to be. I was just looking forward to have a cigar after day of the trade show. So I went with the guys, we're having a cigar, we have a little rum, and they told me about Villiger. Villiger is looking for somebody to run the US operations. Think about it, and that might be an opportunity. So we talked back and forth until finally, we agreed to work together, and that has been the main reason that I got from La Aurora to be working independently completely. I'm doing some consulting. They told me, like, listen, we really need this, but we need a full-time guy that is committed, because it's not a 1-year project. We're talking about a 10-year project at the very least, to execute. So that was the part. I evolved in the business. I learned the cigars by doing it. As I told you, my only knowledge was the engineering part of the logistics process and all that, the main reason that I came to this business. But then with the years, you get in love with them, you learn to smoke, you learn to appreciate cigars, start going to the factories, the tobacco fields, and try to learn a little bit. You have no idea how much respect I do have for the master blenders of this business. I think that these people do some magic when they're putting cigars together. I will never even try to make myself or to pretend that I'm a master blender. I always tell the people, listen, I am the guy that has like the final word of what goes to the market. That doesn't make me a master blender. I'm just a guy that say yes or no. That's
it's good. Go.
It's good.
Yeah.
Go. I like it. We can sell it. Let's go. But that doesn't make me a master blender. As much as you want to call me, I'm not. Listen, I can tell the master blenders, we need to lower down the strength. We can make it a little bit more spicy. I don't know how to translate that to tobacco. Use this tobacco that I have no idea. And then the fact that they can make a blend, and then, okay, they will tell me, Rene, we can make this and we can make it consistently, because then the other parties comes into place. It's quite easy to make a great cigar once. To make it consistently, it's a completely different exercise. So you need to make sure that you have the tobacco, the tools, the resources to make it happen. So all that you learn just over the years, because as far as I know, there is no school to go and study tobacco. There is no people going to university because I want to go out and go to the tobacco industry. The only way in this industry is you have to go and do it and learn it. And there's a lot of people with a lot of knowledge that we should show more appreciation and respect, because there's a lot of knowledge to be, acquired over the years to even to make great cigars, to run factories, to do this. The people are more familiar with people like me and the sales guy that go out to the stores and sell it and do it and present and do the events. But there is a lot going on behind the scenes of that. So yeah, in a very condensed way, was that I was an administration guy, inventory, logistics. I went to sales. I was in sales for like 15 years. Then I came to manage the distribution of La Aurora. Then I was working as a consultant for different companies, and then I became the head of Villiger for the US operations. I'm trying to make this, my commitment is give me 10 years to put this on the map. So I'm already starting number 8. So
And clock is ticking there, buddy.
Clock is ticking, yes.
No, I think that's really cool. And it always fascinates me, because it seems like you have 2 types of people in the cigar industry. You have those that maybe were born into a family that's been doing it forever, and it's just kind of part of their blood, and they're part of their family bloodline. And it's one of those things where they're just kind of almost from childhood on up, that they just know that's what they're going to do. They're going to get into cigars. But then it's the other half that kind of really fascinates me. It's the people like you that come in from other professions. And, I hear a lot of people that they were big in finance, or maybe they were in law, or in your case, an engineer. I mean, these are all professions where, let's be real, you can go out and you can make a ton of money if you want to do that. And I'm not, I'm sure you're probably doing fine. I'm not asking that question, but but it's one of those things where, like, you almost have to wonder, some of these, let's be real. And I don't know about in your case, again, I'm not asking, but like, perhaps you could have done better as an engineer, but the love of the product brings you into into the industry, and it's almost like, you know, you're doing what you want and it becomes a passion job, and I think that's really fun.
It is. I think I don't remember. I think it was Nestor Miranda that once told me, listen, the problem with the cigar industry, this is like riding a horse. Once you get on, it's very difficult to get off. And even if they kick you out or get off the horse, you try to get back again because it becomes this thing. It's a very good industry. It's a very small industry. I think, you know, it's an industry with a lot of future, that a lot of things can be done, change, specialize. I think, you know, from an engineering point of view of it. So it's that there is a lot of ideas that I listen when I talk to the people, a lot of new approaches to this business that could be implemented, because we still behave in a very old-fashioned way when it comes to the making of the cigars, the cultivation of the cigars. There is very little, you know, new things going on. All this is more traditional art craft going on. So that makes it interesting. Even on the marketing part, is now when we see all these crazy new ideas, because we have this influx of young people coming into the business to present ideas. I mean, I think that the last major change of this industry was brought by Drew Estate when they brought acid to the market. You know, and like that, this company need the new generations to give new approach, new perspective to the future of the business. So I hope that the FDA with regulations doesn't close the door to the development of new products, because the excitement is on the new products. I mean, I don't care how much you love one brand, but I know that you don't smoke the same brand every single time, because if not, it becomes boring.
Yeah,
you know, the beauty of this is I tried this, I tried that. I might have my favorites, but I'm always cherrying and picking what to smoke next, because that is the fun part of it. So I hope that within the regulations of the FDA, we don't get into, no, you cannot use more and do more and not change this and don't change that, because it will be a sad day for the industry and for us, the consumers, because again, I think I'm talking as a consumer when I say the fun part of this is trying new cigars.
Well, yeah, and you've said it before, and I respect the fact that you say it, which is, you know, look, we're not necessarily saying only smoke Villiger. We're saying, you know, just maybe try us, and if you like us, include us in your rotation. You know, and then that way, you know, like we become part of your smoking experience. We don't, you know, because some of these, you know, there are brands that you know, they just want to be like the brand, and like you said, you know, it gets boring if you're focusing on just one thing, you know.
Listen, you don't drink the same bourbon all day long. You don't drink the same beer all day long. You know, you don't drink the same wine, because it becomes boring. That's part of the fun to do it. So listen, it's my 2 cents on this one from the consumer point of view. I also go to the stores. I also buy the cigars. I'm always impressed with the stories that I get, you know, about the cigars and the new things that a company might be trying on the blending side of the cigars. So I also enjoy that, you know, because I like cigars and I want to be smoking different things. Listen, I have a rule. 1 cigar a day has to be one that is a non-Villiger cigar. You know, I smoke 3-4 cigars a day. 1 has to be a non-Villiger cigar, you know, to keep it fun. That's right. Part, and it's part of my learning, you know, process.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that's going to become relevant here in a little bit when we get into another segment. But first, why don't we go ahead and get into the tune up the pipes, the Villiger Entertainment Report here. And this is the part where, you know, that little Villiger, that little ditty there. I mean, we have listeners that will tell us that when they're in the humidor and they see your cigars, that little just pops to their mind. So it's all about the tune, you know. You just gotta get the tune. So but anyway, this is your segment where we talk about, you know, kind of what we've been entertainment we've been consuming, because people are always looking for suggestions on TVs, movies, podcasts, books, whatever it is they've been consuming. So Rene, what kind of entertainment do you have you been consuming lately?
In the last one that I was very impressed, it was in Netflix, the documentary about the Tour de France. Amazing. I've been a fan of the Tour de France. So it's not like I'm new to the Tour de France. I just gained more appreciation about the Tour de France by watching that. I highly recommend. That it's well done, well produced, well executed. And even if you have no clue about cyclism, you should watch it. It's a very well done documentary about a sport that is very famous in Europe, even very famous in South America, but I think that we only heard about this when we had Lance Armstrong. But that's about it. But in the rest, I think it's one of the most watched sports after soccer and basketball and baseball. It's right there on the top 5. I highly recommend that one. What else I've done? Book that I read month ago, maybe 2 months ago, All the Light We Cannot See. And for the people that don't read books, I think it's coming to Netflix by the end of the year. It's a super cool story based during the Second World War. Very entertaining, very, very good flow of the lecture. Actually, I didn't read the book. I heard the book. I did the audiobook part of it. Yes, because I started with the audiobook. I was like, you know what? This is so much fun. Let me just keep going with the audio book. So All the Light We Cannot See by, I think, Anthony Doerr is the name of the author. Very good one. What else I've done lately? No, I think that will be, lately I've been, that book, what was the other one that I was reading? No, the other ones have been technical books, marketing books, branding books, and whatever books that unless you're into a specific subject, they tend to be boring. But those two things, the Tour de France documentary in Netflix and the All the Light We Cannot See as a book, and you can even look at it. I think I saw the announcement like by December, November, the whatever Netflix is producing the show, to put the book into the guy. I think the guy won the Pulitzer Prize or one of these special prizes, for great book type of thing. So those are my things. How about you?
Okay. Well, for me, I like documentaries a lot, so I'm definitely interested in this Tour de France one that you mentioned. But I went a little different path this recently, and I watched one on HBO called Jared from Subway.
Okay.
And it's all about Jared
the
Fogle,
the commercial guy.
Yeah, the guy who was fat and became skinny and based off eating Subway sandwiches, and then turned out to be really into child porn. And
I remember the news about this.
It's he's a creep. He's a creep. So if you're into some like kind of creepy true crime / oh my, that was bad marketing, as it turns out. I mean, they didn't know at the time, but it's like, yeah, it was an interesting little insight into the Jared from Subway guy. Podcast wise, I listen to a bunch of different stuff, and somehow or another, I was reading an article, and I don't even remember what the article was, but buried in that article was a reference to a podcast that just the name of it caught my attention, and I had to look it up. And I'm now 2 episodes in out of how many are here? Total of 13. Okay, so I've got 11 to go, but it's called Who Shat on the Floor at My Wedding.
Wow.
And it's about these women down in like Australia area who they were having, it's true crime / humor. And basically they had their wedding on a boat, and apparently somebody missed the toilet at their in the bathroom at their wedding. And so the whole point of this podcast is they're doing it like a true crime thing, where they've got the detective and they're hooking people up to lie detectors and this and that and whatever, trying to determine who defecated on the floor of the boat at this wedding. And so it's just the bizarre nature of it is just so funny to me. And anyway, so there's that. And and then what else have I been watching? I don't know. I've still been watching The Righteous Gemstones on HBO. I've been clicking through that, and I don't know if you've ever seen that, but it's got John Goodman, and he's a like a big preacher, evangelical, preacher with the mega church and everything like that, and it's his family, and they're all dysfunctional, and it's all the wackiness involved with that. But it's a good show. But yeah, that's kind of what I've been consuming this week is Jared from Subway and trying to figure out who pooped on the floor of this boat. So highly intellectual entertainment going on over
up there.
Oh yeah, no, I mean we're reaching to the highest points here, but yeah, every once in a while you need a little candy for the brain every once in a while.
For sure. Why not? Why not? Listen, I was watching about maybe 2 weeks ago when it was announced the Extraction #2 coming out. I watched the #1. I think it was very good. The #2, I was like, really? Like I wasted 2 hours of my life.
Yeah, that tends to happen. I will say I've mentioned it on a prior show, but I'll tell you about it. I don't know if you're into Gary Shandling, the comedian. He did the Larry Sanders Show back in the 90s, and he was around, whatnot. But there's a documentary on him on HBO. He passed away, I believe, in 2016, and it's called The Zen Diaries of Gary Shandling. And it's all about, his life growing up and getting into comedy and then getting into these shows, and kind of like, after the Larry Sanders Show was kind of like his big hit in the 90s, and it's kind of life after that and whatever. But he was really big into meditation, very big into kind of that kind of the Buddhist kind of culture. He wasn't Buddhist. He was Jewish, but at the same time, he was very into that whole culture and teachings and everything. And it's just it ends up being a very interesting story because he had some trauma as a kid. His brother passed away when he was 10, and it's like kind of how he dealt with that and whatever. It was a good documentary all about a guy that normally you would think is just a comedian and he's just a funny man, but like it's all this like kind of the trauma that led to all the neuroticism and everything,
all the baggage in the background.
Yeah, and how he dealt with that. And what's neat is all throughout they have scenes where they have actual clips from his diary, so you see his handwriting, and it's like the actual thoughts from his brain to the hand, to the paper. And so it's fascinating to see kind of how one of these creative types is handling all this. I don't know. I thought it was neat.
Listen, I'm impressed with your brain. So you go from who defecated in the boat to this intellectual level of guy that doing meditation and all that. I'm impressed with the extremes. Extremes.
I'm a Renaissance man, my friends. I am.
Congrats on that. You go from one extreme to the next.
I like some funny stuff. I'll also say, it's been a little bit since I've watched this, but if you're into sports documentaries, there's a 30 for 30, the ESPN 30 for 30 series. It's about this, I think it's called The Spirits of St. Louis. And it's all about the professional basketball team that St. Louis had before the ABA and the NBA joined to like make the NBA, the NBA, that as we know it now. And the Spirits of St. Louis, they were one of the teams that ended up getting cut when that merger took place. But there's a twist to it that the owners got what the NBA thought was a nothing deal, and what turned out to be one of the biggest sweetheart deals ever. And I won't spoil it, but if you check that out, it's the Spirits of St. Louis.
Okay, great.
Spirits of St. Louis. It's a 30 for 30. And what's interesting is like, oh God, what's the NBC sports broadcaster? The really famous one.
Bob Costa?
Yes. He got his start calling these basketball games in St. Louis because he's from St. Louis.
Okay.
And he's in this documentary talking about just some of the wacky stuff that would take place at these games and everything like that. I mean, it was just bizarre, but no, that's a really fun sports documentary. If you're into that.
Now I have something good, you know, to
there you go.
On.
Oh, you're not interested in who shit on the floor at the wedding? Telling you, it's a riveting mystery, my friend. It's a riveting mystery. Right now, I'm at the episode where we're trying to determine why Hank was hanging out in the ladies' room, just talking to people as they would come in to use the bathroom. It's like, what was Hank doing in there? Anyway, so all right. Well, why don't we now go ahead and get into our One Must Go segment here.
We all need to live united, but one must go. Brought to you by United Cigars, makers of La Giana Havana, Abuelo, Red Anchor, Firecracker, and of course, United Cigars. Distributors of Jose Dominguez, Garofalo, Montosa, and Terra Nova, and the highly acclaimed Atabey, Byron, and Bandolero. Buy United, Smoke United, Live United, United Cigars.
So I'm at about the halfway point on this 1888 Nicaragua. And I just did a retrohale, and the cinnamon baking spice that you mentioned comes through very prominently when you do the retrohale at about the halfway point. So it is kind of building as it goes, but it's a nice slow build. I like it. So
it's a fun cigar. It's a fun cigar.
It is a fun cigar. But
again, like I said, it's a cigar with personality.
So I have two options here, Rene, and I'm going to give you the choice of which one you want to do, but I'm not going to tell you what the options are until you know we decide. So one is perhaps a little lighter, and one is more of a kind of heavier, deeper thought. So which one do you want to do?
Damn it. I go with the lighter because I haven't had my first cigars and I'm waiting for a little bit later to start
getting into the introspective kind of
yes
thought,
I think better after the first cigar of the day. There
we go. Okay, so one must go. I'm going to give you 4 options here, and we have to determine which one is the one that gets taken out of the picture. Electricity, running water, grocery stores, or roads. That's electricity, running water, grocery stores, or roads.
Damn it.
I know. Because see, here's the thing. We've had some really rough storms here in the St. Louis area over this past weekend. And a lot of people have been without power, including my folks. And it's also been hotter than shit here in St. Louis this weekend. And I contend that one of the best inventions known to mankind was air conditioning. And so between that and the fact that a lot of people have had their refrigerators obviously not running, a lot of food has gone bad. So I can't get rid of electricity.
Electricity is a must over there.
Same with running water. Same with running water.
The roads, it depends on the car that you have. Because if you have a 4-wheel, like we really don't care if there is roads or not. You can move around.
Exactly.
So, and what was the other one?
Grocery stores.
Listen, either we have grocery stores or we need to start farming. So you have to pick one.
And you're not going to be eating for a while if you're going to have to start farming right now.
So I think just by default, the roads can go and we can change the car pretty fast.
I think you're right. I think the roads have to go. And I drive an SUV. So I feel like I'm okay there. So
you're good.
All right. So there we go.
The One Must Go segment was brought to you by United Cigars. United we smoke.
All right, guys. Now here's the time in the show where it's going to go video only for just a second as I swap out some of the audio buttons on my soundboard. So if you want to catch up on what Rene and I talk about, you're going to have to go on over to the YouTube and check it out there. All right, Rene, we are video only real quick while I swap out a couple of buttons here. So tomorrow is the 4th of July. Do you have any plans for the 4th of July?
Actually, Not much because don't forget that I work for the Swiss. So
That's true. Not a big deal over there with the Swiss.
So
huh?
I'll be in the office for the morning, but then by noon, it's 6 p.m. over there. I'm gone. Some of them are gonna get together with some friends for a cigar and a couple of drinks. But the morning I'll work. The afternoon we'll take a break.
There
So
you
really
go.
no special plans other than like if it was like a Saturday type of thing.
Well, yeah, that's true. And with it being a Tuesday like this, it's definitely, I think, impacting a lot of people and their plans. Because I know a lot of folks that are working today, off tomorrow, and then going back to work on Wednesday, and that just sounds horrific. I mean, like, why would anybody want to do that? You know, so
True. And that's a problem. I'm trying to get as much rest as possible before we go to Vegas, just because these shows are really like a marathon. Even if you're not into the gambling or anything, the hours, the day, the conversations, the meetings, the cigars, it's
still a lot.
It's still a lot. So that's the reason that this week I try to take it as easy as possible, and getting ready for Las Vegas and the PCA. That is a huge, massive, exercise.
There you go. Well, I want to get back into that, but here, let's first go back to the audio. All right, guys, we are back on the audio here, and I want to talk about PCA for a moment before we get into a couple other little fun things and kind of wrap this all up. You and I talked before we started recording about how PCA obviously is coming up, this weekend and into the beginning part of next week. But next year it's going to be in March. And what kind of logistical challenges does that pose a company like Villiger, when you have the big trade show happening, so close together, in at least in this period of time? There was obviously going to be at least 1 year where it came close together. And then from there, let me also ask in the same question here. So TPE is about 60 days prior to PCA next year. What are your plans with TPE, if you have any?
Listen, let me start with the TPE. I think that we will participate at the TPE mainly because our focus at the TPE is our machine-made cigars. So for us, it fits the profile of a company that we have. PCA is for the handmade, and the TPE, our main focus is the machine-made. We bring some of the handmade cigars because the handmade segment within the TPE was growing and it was becoming important. I really don't know what to expect by having two trade shows so close. I mean, how much is that going to affect the handmade part of it? Of that one. That show, the TPE, they have the CBD products and they have the cannabis products and some other products. And for us, that machine-made segment it's important. So for us, overall, it's not a problem. The challenge is, what do you do with the handmade part of the TPE? And I really don't have an answer. I'm pretty sure I will talk to the guys that organize the TPE at the trade show to get their thoughts on it and their plans, because it was that we had at the beginning of the year the TPE, then it was a TAA, and then it was a PCA. But now the PCA is right after the TPE. The TAA didn't have a problem, the Tobacconist Association of America convention, and it was moved to October. But you're right, when you have a trade show the last week of January, and then the other one the last week or the third week of March. Too close for the retailers to go to Las Vegas, is too close for us, the exhibitors, the factories, to be there, because these trade shows are not cheap. We want to make sure that there is some return on investment when we do these exercises. So that's the interesting part of that one. So again, for the TPE, for us, no big deal. We have the machine-made division. And then the logistical part of having the PCA now too close, or at least, 3-4 months before it was supposed to be. It is because it's not like we're pumping new cigars or new brands or new projects every day. It takes some time, some creativity to do it. And we were coming to being behind in all the projects because of the COVID. We're finally catching up with the situation that we have been working, or having the last couple of years. And then suddenly, we need to switch gears again and, prepare for the next, it's almost like 7 months for that one. Because by the time that we come is the end of July, we're going to be shipping August, September, the new products. And now we're talking about October, November, December, January, February, March, we go 6 months. But one of those months, the factories are closed. So you're really talking about 5 to 6 months the most to be ready for the next round of new product. So it's going to be a challenge. We have a project in the works, but we haven't even finalized the packaging. We haven't decided on the blend. So now we need to, okay, should we rush this or should we go there? We need to make these decisions in that one because, again, we need to be up to the state of the company, the state of the market, to bring excellent cigars and not like half-ass cigars, just because we have to be there with a new product. So maybe we just have to be there, but we don't have to be there with a new product. Those are the two options. Either if we are ready to present a new product, we will present a new product. And if not, we'll be there and we showcase our cigars, we show the love, we shake hands and kiss the babies, and we keep moving on, presenting and supporting the PCA as an organization. So those are my thoughts on that one. It's going to be challenging. It's going to be difficult. We have about 6 months to come with the next round of new products to present to the market, which is not easy because you want to compete at what I call the major leagues level and presenting the best products possible that you can
Precisely,
to the market, to showcase to the market.
Well, and I've heard some stories of manufacturers that's maybe something that they were going to bring out this year. They're just sitting back on and holding for next year, giving a little bit more age to and everything like that. And they're just saying, we're just not going to do it this year. We'll do it next year. That way have something. Like you said, maybe there's some manufacturers that are hurrying up and rushing something in order to get it ready. I don't know if that's the greatest strategy either, but it's kind of an interesting situation that you guys are kind of put in. What are your thoughts about the March date going forward though? Like, I know this year coming up is going to be, it's kind of weird because it's so close together with the July and the March, but then going forward, it's going to supposedly be in March, going forward from there. Like, what are your thoughts on that time frame?
If the PCA was the only trade show, like it used to be many months ago, March will be a perfect day. Nowadays, listen, I don't think it's going to make much of a difference because nowadays there is so much technology that if I wanted to launch a product, I don't need a trade show to do it.
Precisely.
There is, you see, we send you the samples.
Yeah, direct email.
We send the package to the consumers. That exercise is even cheaper than presenting the brand at the trade show. And we have a direct communication with all the retailers. So I don't think, this time and age with all the technology that we have, having the trade show on March or July, it's going to make any difference. And that's just my opinion because, it may be good for the stores to planning the year out, maybe. But from the manufacturer point of view, I don't think so. We'll get adjusted, like you said, the first year, next year will be a little bit of a challenge. But then after that one, will be business as normal. I don't think much is going to change. Other than that we have a new date and maybe it's not as hot as it is in Vegas in July. So that would be a good positive thing.
That's definitely true. And one of the things that you touched on regarding TPE and PCA that I wanted to circle back to is I think it's good for you guys as a brand that because you offer that machine made and then also the hand, the premium hand rolled stuff, you do have something different to highlight in different shows because this is just me talking. I've talked with a couple of retailers, so my sample size is very, very small. So don't assume nobody should take this as gospel, but I do suspect that when it's all said and done and people are able to analyze the numbers and all this kind of thing, I suspect that the people who own your traditional cigar shops and lounges more that carry more of the premium hand rolled and not necessarily the convenience stores and those other kind of stores. I suspect that if they were told, hey, you've got 2 trade shows that are 60 days apart, going forward, which one are you going to do? They're going to go with PCA. And I would suspect that
no doubt about it.
I think the premium cigar aspect of TPE with this move is going to dwindle down. I think that's personally, and again, it's just me talking, not Rene. I think this is why you've seen Altadis and General and Drew Estate, talking about how, hey, we're coming back to PCA next year, and all this kind of stuff. They had kind of stayed away for the couple years, and I think they saw the writing on the wall and said, hey, the audience is going to PCA. We need to be where the audience is.
I agree. I think is that if as a traditional tobacconist, you're a true tobacconist, your trade show is the PCA. This is where your focus, 99% of your business is premium cigar. Your trade show is the PCA. So I have no doubt. I 100% agree with your statement. And we, the companies, have to follow, like you said, we have to follow the audiences. If the audience is the PCA and your business is premium cigars, you need to be there, or at least try to be there if you can afford it, to be. And that's just the way that is. It's not that complicated, and that's the reason with these changes. Let's see what happened with the industry. It was interesting, or it is interesting to have 2 choices because that gave competition to the PCA to improve their game. And
that's true.
I think they have done their homework to improve their game. And like anything in the free market, you need a little bit of competition to you step up at the plate and keep working, baby.
Nah, for sure. You don't want to get complacent and get lazy with it. So no, I think you make a valid point. So, well, it'll be interesting to see how it all shakes out.
We'll come back and gossip after the show. How about that?
Oh, for sure. I love it. I love show gossip. It's even better. It's like, who got drunk at the pool this year? So, all right. Well, now why don't we go ahead and get into this?
Guess what, motherfucker?
It's time for 3 cigars we've smoked and enjoyed this week. And this is where I was telling you, this is where you can highlight some cigars that you've smoked and enjoyed. So, what if you want to go ahead and give a shout out to your first cigar? What's the cigar you've smoked and enjoyed this week?
Listen, one I think is a direct consequence of your show because I've been smoking lately a lot of the Aladino.
Oh, okay.
I like what Justo is doing with the blends. Beautiful blend. I think that I told you I'm a big fan of the Honduran tobacco.
For sure.
So I've been smoking different ones. I tend to stay with their Corojo, but I've tried the Habanos and I've been more exposed to the brand of that one. And this is when I think these marketing exercises are relevant, because I think it's just because I hear over and over you guys talking about Aladino that it makes the name more familiar when I walk into the walk-in humidor, to a humidor, into a store. So
for sure.
This is me trying to be the consumer. Let me see by listening to this show how I get affected, and it's happened. The magic, the trick is there. Let me see what else.
I mean, with marketing, what do they say? 7 touches.
Yes.
In order for whatever. So I mean, you might be encountering Aladino, or in your case, Villiger in magazine ads or online ads or something like that. But then also, we're just one of those touches, but it all adds up to where brand awareness, to where, like you said, when you're in a humidor, you see it and you're like, oh, I've heard of that. I want to try that.
True. The other one that I tried that I was also impressed was the Cabay One Connecticut, I think, from Tatuaje. Cabay One Connecticut. I was like,
I don't know that one.
Damn, this is a very good cigar.
Yeah.
It's made by Pepin. It's part of the Tatuaje portfolio. And so it's a very good, nice Nicaraguan on the milder side of it. Very good one. And what was the other one? But the other one that I smoked that it was just a little bit too much for me was El Dorado by AJ Fernandez, a New World El Dorado. Man, I did the retrohell on that one. It's like, damn, this is high octane, for me. But impressive, very good flavors, very good cigar. A little bit too strong for my taste, But those are lately on that one. I've been smoking all kind of different things off here and there. So yeah, the Aladino, I think I have to blame you on that one.
I'll take the
the-
blame for that. That's okay. I'll take.
But
the
it's
blame.
usually, it's like that. I think that I smoked the cab I won from Tatuaje because it was a recommendation from the retailer.
Yeah.
Rene, you should try this one. It's right there on your alley of your morning cigars. And El Dorado, because then is the other extreme. This is into the fuller body, and it really kicked me out and on that one. It was a strong kick that I got in the retro hell when I was smoking the El Dorado.
Okay. All right. Well, my first one, I had it the other day. It was a Perdomo 20th anniversary in the Sun Grown. I really like that cigar. I tend to go to the Sun Grown a lot from those cigars, and it was a great smoke. My second one, you brought up Aladino. I had an Aladino Cameroon in the Elegante, the Lancero size. I think that with their Cameroon, the Lancero or the Lonsdale really, really does present the best flavor on those
Nice.
cigars, and I really did enjoy it. And the last one I had is one from United Cigars. I had the La Giana in the Connecticut. I was just chilling out, and I had a La Giana Connecticut, and it's just a nice, easy, smooth, kind of light cigar. It was my first cigar of the day, but it was just a really nice cigar. I really enjoyed it.
You know what? Now that you mentioned this, I remember that I was in Orlando and I stopped by to Cigars with a C, the Avenue, I think is the name of the store. And they gave me this Atabey Lancero that is one of the best freaking cigars that I've smoked in my life.
Dude, I'll tell you, Atabey, Nelson Alfonso there. I mean, like, you're not going to get a better Connecticut or cigar than the
Atabey
Atabey.
Lancero cigars in the Avenue, I think. Cigars on the Avenue, cigars with a C in Orlando.
Yeah.
And they go, Rene, you have to smoke this. And I said, like, damn, great cigar. But yeah, that was only once because I haven't been able to find it in the local shops in Miami. But impressive. Atabey Lancero for sure.
All right. Well, why don't we now hear about My Monthly Cigars? This would normally be the time that I give some information about My Monthly Cigars, but I've hired that out this week, so take it away.
My Monthly Cigars is a premium cigar subscription service. It comes in a variety of different size boxes at affordable prices. Use offer code PULPIT and get free shipping on your first box and 20% off any items in the online store at mymonthlycigars.com.
That's offer code PULPIT. Thanks. And guys, while you're over there at My Monthly Cigars, make sure you check out the fucking good coffee. He's got the lounge blend and the pulpit daily press and all the different other flavors of fucking good coffee for you to try.
Could you repeat the name of the brand, please?
It's FAHKING. He's from Boston, so it's fucking good coffee, Yeah, no, exactly. It's the best branding, man. It's fucking good. It's
fucking good.
Don't be a fucking loser. Try fucking good coffee. So yeah, no, it's. I know. Trust me. When he first came out with it, I was like, okay, this is where we're gonna go. I like it. So Rene, I am down to the final third of the 1888 Nicaragua here. I have absolutely loved this. I'm so looking forward to. You sent me. Looks like a Toro and Robusto and maybe like a Corona.
Yeah, it's the cigar is available in the three vitolas: the Toro 6x50, the Robusto 5x50, and the Corona that I forgot exactly what is the size of the cigar. That is the one that maybe you're smoking, the little Corona.
No, this is the Toro.
The Toro. Okay.
I still have the Robusto and the
Corona. Yeah.
Corona, and the Corona is 5 1/4 by 43.
There you are.
So
5 1/4 by 43. So it's 6x50, 5x50, and the 5 1/4 by 43. Was it? That's what it says.
Mm-hmm.
Good. Yes, and again, the other new thing that we have for the trade show is the Villiger Miami 2023. So those are the two things that we have.
And I'm looking forward to
Las Vegas.
Firing that up at some point here too. And giving that a nice good good relaxation time with. I'm looking forward to that as well. But well, Rene, I'm blanking here. I got all these thoughts. Rene, thank you so much for taking time out today. I really appreciate it. I really hope that Villiger has a wonderful PCA trade show. Any retailers that are out there, if you don't carry Villiger, go by the Villiger booth if you're at the PCA show and talk to Rene and at the very least, get a sample. And while you're there at Vegas, smoke it and try it. Trust me, you'll be back to the booth before you leave town. That's all I'm saying. You'll be back.
You're the best, man.
And if you are a Villiger shop already, then do yourself a favor and expand out your section and bring in the 1888 Nicaragua. And I'll tell you, if that Miami 2023 is anything like that Miami in that picture right behind your head there, you're gonna want to expand out and bring in the Miami 2023 as well, because let me tell you, it lights out cigars. It's so fantastic. But
no, my
seriously,
friend, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you for all the support. Thank you for spreading the good word about Villiger Cigars. So we really appreciate all your help.
Oh no, it's my pleasure. My pleasure indeed. Like I said, I partner with people and products that I can get behind. And it's one of those things where if I don't fully believe in it, then I don't want to be telling people to try it and everything like that. So when you and I were talking, it was a no-brainer on my part, man. The La Libertad, the TAA 2020, I mean, those sealed the deal before anything even came, from there.
Good reminder, I have to send you the 2023. No, but listen, we'll be in touch. And we'll miss you in Las Vegas, but I hope to see you soon.
I know. I'll be down in Florida in mid-October. I'll be down at Ashen Ales or Ashes and Ale in Palm Coast.
Perfect. Let me know.
Ken Cleric owns
let me
that
know.
place down
Let
there.
me know. We need to plan a date. You come to the office. We have some cigars. We go to lunch. Whatever. Gossip.
Sounds wonderful.
Gossip off the air.
Yeah, there we go. We get that. Actually, I do have like one or two things when we're done recording here. So don't bail off the Zoom just yet. Okay. But anyway, Rene, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, my friend. Bye-bye.
This has been another sermon from the Cigar Pulpit. I'm Nick. That's Rene. Everybody stay safe and stay smoky. All right. And then we'll stop that.
You know what?
Recording.